Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. Fight fans worldwide, you've tuned into the #1 undisputed boxing podcast today. This is the Boxing Breakdown. Now, your heavy-handed, hard-hitting host, Mark Roxey.
What's up? What's up? What's up? This is your host, Mark Roxey, and you are listening to yet again another edition of the Boxing Breakdown. Welcome, 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 friends and foes. We are excited that you're with us, and we have a very, very exciting show for you. I think you will love this show. We're going to be talking about a bunch of different things in the boxing world, some boxing news, including Josh Taylor, some news on Josh Taylor. And we're also going to break down and get into the Holyfield, the recent Holyfield fight. We are going to talk about the speculative, I think it's speculative, Floyd Mayweather's return to the squared circle. And then we will get into the Canelo Alvarez versus Bivol post-fight discussion, which is long overdue, but still worth discussing because you're going to learn a lot today. And we're going to get into the Jermell Charlo versus Brian Castano fight. And this was the #2 fight. If you listened to the last episode, you would have heard us break this fight down, and there was some discussion about how it would go. And we went back and forth, and if you listen to that episode, you can find it on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And you can also check us out on YouTube. If you haven't seen the YouTube podcast, check it out. You may like it. We just started it. I think it's maybe been like 4 or 5 months. I don't know. It could be longer. But slow to get traction. There's a lot of stuff happening over there. If you are tuning in on YouTube today or Facebook, welcome. We are doing our first Facebook live feed today, and I am very excited to be doing that. And so I'm going to open up the comments here. And if you want to comment, join in, man. James Payne, man, thank you. What's up? James Payne says, what's up, Harold Hunt? So we got a couple listeners in here joining us on Facebook and YouTube. We are streaming on both channels today, and thank you for being with us, man, for sure. So, Harold, let's get into it, man. Let me first of all welcome to the show today, Mr. Harold Hunt.
I'm gonna cry. Hey, thank you for so much.
Yeah,
and before I get started, I want to holler out to James Payne is my name, partner. How about you? That's his hook, and he delivers it very well. What's up, James? Thanks for being here, man. Hey, yeah, man. Boxing is just a wonderful item in this month and every month coming up here. So we just got so much to talk about.
Yeah, man.
So I'm ready to go when you are.
Yeah, let's get into it, man. Let's start off with this news regarding Josh Taylor. You've got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight, Harold. I'm going to keep you busy vocally and intellectually. And let's talk about Josh Taylor. What's up?
Well, as you know, Josh is the 140-pound undisputed champion.
Yeah.
He hails from over the pond, and he's pretty good. He put together the titles, all four, paid the sanction fees, and he won the fights. Now, his last fight, there was some controversy where he shouldn't have necessarily won the fight, but I believe he did, by the skin of his teeth, but he did in fact win it. Now, the WBA has decided it's time for him to, to defend that WBA belt.
Yeah.
However, he has to really give that belt up. Now, it's not because he doesn't like the organization. He loves the prestige. It's one of the 4 belts. He's in the top 7, or the only 7 in the history of the 4-belt era to be undisputed. He doesn't want to give up that. However, it went to a purse bid of $200,000 with him getting 55% and his opponent, whoever that will be, will get 45%. This man usually earns $2 million a fight.
Yeah.
So because of that, strictly financial, not political, no grudges, he just needs to vacate that title, because if he goes to 147, he'll get that $2 million plus that he's been getting for the past 4 or 5 fights. So he will go down in history as one of the 7. As we know, these belts get splintered as they go. He was the only one whose reign as an undisputed splintered pretty quickly, but he is there for that. So you can't be upset with his situation with the financial end of it. My cachet demands the $2 million plus per fight, and he has to continue to go with that.
Right.
So that's what it is.
Interesting.
Financially.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's it always comes down to the money, doesn't it, Harold?
$1 million versus 200,000. He only gets 55% of that.
Yeah,
I would think so. Yes.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, he's 19-0, 13 KOs, no losses. He's got a 68.42% KO ratio. So the guy's, on fire. He's, it's going to be interesting to watch him in the coming 6 months to a year. There's going to be a lot. Who do you think he faces? Who do you think he fights?
Well, if he goes to 147, he's going to fight the middle tier 47 pounders. I'm talking about the gentleman out of Minneapolis. That'll be a good fight for him. His name escapes me right now. There's some mid-tier 147s. He can actually fight Lipinets, actually.
Lipinets, huh?
Lipinets, yes. And there's a couple other mid-level 147 pounders he can fight. And because of his cachet, he'll be able to, it'll sell pretty well. So,
yeah,
and he can get his feet wet, and he can get into the fray. Now, he may be a year or so away from, fighting one of the top 147 pounders.
Right.
But he'll be in there, and he'll win he'll have opportunities to win as he goes along. Now, as far as the 140 the other 3 he remaining, they're not going to press him. Right. They're not going to press him to vacate or anything like that. So he'll still be able to do like Earl, do the undisputed thing. Well, Earl's going to put it all together now, but he'll be able to defend those 3 belts and do well with those belts, and the mandatory will be fine, and he'll get the money he deserves.
No,
but the BA is just not happening for him right now.
Yeah, so we got James Payne weighing in, the lethal James Payne. He says, "I appreciate the breakdown. It's a shame money interrupts weight class supremacy." There you go. What do you think about that, Harold?
Yes, he's absolutely right. And, that is a part of this sport that is just why it's so fascinating, because you can generate huge amount of monies for these events. But yet on the flip side, when it goes to a purse bid, it's slave wages. So and that's just, there's no area where this is the cutoff spot. Whoever wins the purse bid gets to fight. Right. And if no one else is bidding at a purse bid number that's applicable, that's what you get. So, that's what makes the sport beautiful. Yeah,
well, we got a comment here. Josh Taylor versus Connor Bean. James, man, I don't know about that. I don't know if he wants that smoke, but What do you think, Harold?
It looks good. It looks good on paper. I've had to think about that as far as markability. If Ben would want to do that now, if he loses, he's in the trash bin because he lost to a 140 pounder, a natural 140 pounder. If Josh wins, Ben again looks like he's not what he needs to be because he's looking for the bigger fights. So, yes, it looks great. That girl over there looks good, but she could be just not on point. So this looks good. I think Ben has most to lose if he wins or if he loses.
Yeah, for sure, because he's not quite there yet. And actually, Josh Taylor, according to BoxRec, I didn't look at some of the other. I didn't look at WBC and WBA or WBO, but BoxRec has him ranked, I think, somewhere around the 14-15 range. So, Connor's not even showing up in that list. So, you've got guys just for the listeners that are out there. I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. Oh, that's actually pound for pound, man. That's pound for pound. What the hell? That's a pound for pound list I just read. Sorry about that. I was just reading the pound for pound. He's listed 15 in pound for pound. So that's good. Oh, my bad. Connor Bean is 10. Connor Bean's in there, but I don't know. You know who's in there? We're gonna talk about him later on tonight, you guys. We're gonna chop up my fighter from Philadelphia who I truly do admire. This guy, Jaron Boots Ennis. We will get into that discussion a little bit later because there's lots to unpack there.
As we will.
Yeah, man. But Connor Bean is number 10. We got. Gosh, man, you got Mikey Garcia's up at number 7. How did he get up in there? Jaron is number 9. Connor Bean is at 10. Jaron Ennis. I don't know, man. Virgil Ortiz. Ugas is still up in there. Oh, and you know who came back into the discussion here recently is Keith Thurman. They've been throwing his name around and around and around. Even yeah, we'll get into that later. But
well, see, Keith Thurman has a staunch fan base that was put together when he was on that hot streak.
Yeah,
and when you're on a hot streak like that, it's just in your mind. Like some people say, what Prince is the greatest recording artist of the world, and they don't care how many years has passed, he's still the greatest, no matter what. Same situation with Keith. So they remember that hot run where he was one time Keith, and they long for that. So he's got that base that's going to support him no matter what. So that's why he's still there. Garcia is a Hispanic type fighter, and we know that the bulk of the patrons in boxing are Hispanic.
Oh yeah, it is, Harold, the national sport. It is the national sport. So I mean, right there with soccer, James Payne is hollering out Boots. He's throwing little boots emojis up on the screen. You see that? Boots. Yeah, that's right. Good. You're right, James. You're absolutely right. Everybody calls him Boots. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But if you go back a couple of years, literally a couple of years, and Harold and I in these podcasts, you will hear me talking about Boots and saying, this is a guy to watch when no one even knew who he was really, unless you were in the local Philadelphia area, you really didn't know who Boots was. But, now he's climbing right up in there, man. He's becoming a household name for sure. Well, at least the diehards and the casuals are starting to go, Boots Ennis, Jaron Boots Ennis, It's catchy. So, yeah. Anyway, well, let's progress here forward, man, because that certainly was a great discussion about Josh Taylor. He vacates the WBA. You heard it here first on the Boxing Breakdown.
Yeah, the 140 pound. I think he has the skill set to get in there with those guys. He's not going to knock the 147 pounders out, but he's going to look good. He's going to move well. He's going to win on points. He's going to show whether he has a chin or not. Yeah. He's not going to knock those guys out, but it's going to be a good firefight. He's going to stand in the pocket. He's going to fight because he has to show that he can move up. Now, we don't know what he walks around at. He may walk around at 152, 154. We don't know what he walks around at. So when he goes to 147, he'll either be stronger or he'll be overweight. His frame can't take it. We don't know how he's going to deal. And I heard that he had a little issue staying at 140, but he can do it.
Right.
So if he's comfortable at 147 and, he can walk around 150 and he can drop 1 or 2, 3, 5, 4 pounds and come in at 147 comfortable.
Right.
And, he's in his man strength right now, and he hasn't really taken a beating or anything like that. Scar tissue on his face is adequate. I mean, he's okay. He's got the nice little accent. The female population is going to be, are going to like what he presents, visually. So, and he talks a lot of stuff. I mean, he has all the connotation of, arrogance and self-entitlement that you should have when you're, in the media spotlight, trying to get the big fights, to get the big money to, further the sport. So he's got all the elements, and he's going to bring that fan base over from the pond. And as you know, everyone wants to stay over here and fight over here because that's where it is. So he can actually do it.
Yo, and just to tap into that, I want to tap in right here, which is that, the top 3 at the welterweight division right now, according to BoxRec, Keith Thurman, number 3, Errol Spence, number 2, and Terrence Crawford, number 1. So, it's going to heat up, man. I think on the last episode of the Boxing Breakdown, you and I talked about how the 135-pound weight class is the hottest weight class in the boxing division. But 147 is starting to get a little lively here. I'd have to say it would come in the number, I don't know, maybe 2. What do you think?
Possibly. We just need to see the big fight. And once that big fight shakes out, then everyone's going to be in line.
That's right.
To be a mandatory for one of the 4 belts. So once that plateau is reached, then everyone's going to come up. Now, we just can't keep going back to Boots, but as we get to him at the end, we'll talk about how he figures into those 4 belts.
Right.
But we have other people ahead of him that we need to talk about. But yes, that fight has to happen, and then everything else will fall out of that. I mean, once you start shaking that tree, there's a lot to come out, but that tree got to get there first, and that tree is not there yet as far as an undisputed champion that everyone gets to shoot at.
Right, exactly. Yeah, well, let's move on. Let's do that, Harold. It was a wonderful suggestion. Let's move on then right to Holyfield. Holy cow, Holyfield. What you got?
Well, of course, he's the son of a legend. Just to throw out some accolades, as we know, Holyfield is, moved up, a smaller man, proved that he could fight at another weight, and was very successful. He's known for his impeccable fundamentals. That's why he was able to fight so long, because his belts, because he had great fundamentals.
Right.
So the fundamentals kept him there. So he has a son, Evan Holyfield, which I judged him many, many years ago. It was an amateur thing. I saw him, and I think I did one of his upcoming fights maybe 3 or 4 years ago when he was just trying to figure out what was going on. But recently he had a fight, and unfortunately he got caught early, and he was knocked out. Now, a knockout is fine, but when you go down face first, it pretty much is sensationalized. He got caught, and he kind of went down kind of hard. So, but we've seen Thomas Hearn's son lose. We've seen, different people lose, by knockout, so early in their career. So this could be something that could help him, something he can get around it. But the splash, because of the name and the visual of him, being defeated that way is pretty spectacular. It actually is.
Yeah, man, I agree. It is spectacular, and unfortunate for him, but hopefully he makes a full recovery, gets back in the ring, corrects his mistakes, and gets on with it. Because that's all you can do. That's all you can do, Harold.
But he looked good. He was in shape. I mean, he was cut. He just, as a trainer, if you watch that, you'll see the mistake.
Oh yeah.
Right off the rip, you'll see the mistake.
Yeah. So you're right. What is your opinion on the mistake, Harold?
He stood downrange of the power.
Yeah. He was inside the power and he was leaning to the right.
And when you do that, you're going to get clipped.
Yeah. Because
fighters initially are going to throw the straight right hand. That's the first thing they're taught, along with that jab or whatever. And if you're nervous or you're new to the sport and you're just coming up your fourth or fifth fight, you're going to be looking for the left hand, right hand drop. That's just what it is. You don't have the sophistication to do anything else. So you have to defend against that, because that's the first thing new fighters tend to throw. And he just got caught with that.
Yeah,
he didn't defend it.
Yeah, for sure. And young fighters. He's been in the game for a while. He's had hopefully good training, good coaching. And, at the end of the day, a lot of young fighters do make the mistake of, not understanding distance properly and believing their smoke, that they can be closer to the power than they really should be with those small 8-ounce, 10-ounce, 12-ounce gloves, whatever you're wearing. And you learn really, really quickly that it doesn't take much, and there's really not much you can do. When you get clipped, there's not much you can do, particularly how he got clipped, to really recover. I think the referee stepped in and did the right thing.
Yes.
In saving him and protecting him from any more damage. He's a young fighter, and there's a lot more boxing there. So, we wish him well. We wish him full recovery. And we know we'll see him back in the ring soon enough, for sure. So that's really all we really need to say about that. But I did want to just bring up a quick little comment here. Excuse me, from James Payne about Errol Spence. He asks, how is Errol Spence number 2 when he has 3 of the belts? So, well, first of all, we ask ourselves all the time on the Boxing Breakdown, the big old how. There's some things you just can't really explain. It's like, why, how, who, how did that happen? The way these rankings are put up, most of these rankings are really, they're just a couple of people's opinions, and there's certainly some politics that are going into it. But it's just a group of people that make an assessment and draw an opinion and a conclusion, and they write it out and they put it up on their website, right? So, and everybody goes, whoa, number 2, number 3. But, for me, this is the most, when you unify the titles and you bring all of them home, that's when you know it's real. That's when you know it's real. So has Errol Spence done that? He's got 3 of the belts. He doesn't have them all. So, maybe they're, I don't know. Maybe they're looking at that. I don't really know how they come up with the criteria. Harold, do you want to speak to that at all?
Well, James Payne, man, check it out. Everyone has a taste in their mouth for Bud. They love Bud. They want someone to be the foil for Spence. So they're going to take that one belt he has, the undisputed that he got before he moved up, and they got to spin that as an adversary for Spence. Spence just fought. Spence called him out, And everyone's clamoring for that, even to the point where they're saying, okay, he needs to be number one and Spence is number two, even though he has the 3 belts. They just want the public to demand that this thing happens. And they'll even lift Crawford up to where he may not be. He doesn't need to be number one. I agree with James, but it's all optics. And I think it's working well. I think they'll have the fight. And that's just what it is. Like you said, it's just someone's opinion on that. But the world is saying, wow, why is it like that? Why is it that? But that's just creating more of a dialogue of the situation. Now, Bud is a great fighter, no doubt about it. But they need to have someone standing directly across from our boy Spence. And Crawford is the one right now.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That well said, Harold. Well, let's take a move forward, right? And we've got something to we got some news for you guys out there on the Boxing Breakdown. So
what happened?
Yeah, we have been very excited about this news.
Drum roll, please.
Yes, man. Guess what? Floyd Money Mayweather is coming back to boxing. He's coming back. So
he tried to, at least.
He's trying to, man. He's trying to do what he does. So what you got, Harold?
Well, we know that Floyd is running around doing these exhibitions, which is financially wise. He's using his cachet. He's using his name. He's using, his lifestyle that he sells his lifestyle. So all of that is just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And he has something lined up with a fighter that was trained by Roger Mayweather, who supposedly knows the code, to crack the code, the Mayweather code, and this and that and the other. So the storyline is pretty good. So the storyline is good. This guy's 4-0, and he was trained by by his uncle, and this and that. He, as I just said. So that was, going to be okay. They were going to do it on a helicopter pad, as you know, in Dubai, which has had some famous situations on that helicopter pad before. Some tennis people had a match on there. A couple golf luminaries had some stuff on there. There's been some other things on that pad before. So the boxing is not the first thing there. However, this was put aside because the president of the country, he passed on Friday. And as per custom of that culture, there's a 3-day situation where nothing political or nothing mechanical or nothing entertainment-wise will take place for 3 days.
Right.
And because of that thing was scrapped.
I see. Okay.
As of now, there isn't a date that they've nailed down for that to happen. So we don't know if it's going to happen or not. I believe it will, because so much money was already put up and this and that and TV rights and all of that. You can't help when someone passes, and that's just the nature of the country. So I believe it will happen. But once again, Floyd is easily going to make the show. It's like a sitcom. You have your script. I have my script. We're going to run this. I'll run the 6-7 rounds or whatever. It's exhibition rather. There is no judges. It's just to see if Floyd still has a skill set that's recognizable, that's enjoyable to watch, and he'll be able to do that against this guy. Right. So, and that being the case, people just want to see Floyd move around the ring, throw the punches, avoid, and what he does. They just want to see his, what he does. And even at this age, he can still do it.
Yeah, man. So, basically, I have a question for you listening in, okay? First of all, if you are listening in on YouTube, do not forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notifications below, right down there. Hit them, okay? Hit them and let us know you're going to join in, and, we'll be watching for you, and certainly leave your comments. If you are listening right now live, leave your comments. Get in on the action. chop it up. We'll answer your questions. And if you are listening to this after the live telecast, certainly, leave your comments there. We'll do our best to answer them. And we appreciate that. If you're listening in on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you leave a review. Let us know that you like the program. Tell your friends, share it, pass it around, let people know in the boxing community that we're happening, we're doing it. And we love to have you in on the conversation as well. So that being said, Harold, let's get into the real discussion of the night. And that is Canelo Alvarez versus Dimitri Bivol. And we're going to do a recap here. We're going to get into this. We're going to talk about it. I am sure.
Well, let me start by saying this. Double standard. Double standard for Canelo, double standard.
Oh.
I got things to say about that whole situation, but we'll do the mechanics first, the actual fight itself, and then we'll fall into all the political and all the other stuff that is questionable.
Right.
Trust that.
Yeah, man. So this was a very, very, very important fight for Canelo Alvarez and his legacy and what he was trying to accomplish, right, Harold?
Yes, it was admirable. It was.
The guy's 57. He's currently 57, 2-2. So, he has been around for a long time. And, this fight that he had with Dimitri Bivol took place at 174 and a quarter pound. Dimitri Bivol was certainly the bigger man. 19-0. The fight went the distance. And, it took place at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. The judges were Russell Mora, Tim Chetham, David Moretti, and Steve Weisfeld. Okay. Steve, your boy Steve Weisfeld is manages to get himself on these cards. It's pretty amazing. And WBA Super World Light Heavyweight title was on the line. And this was part of the package to kind of unify up at 175 pounds. And, I have a lot to say about the fight. I have a lot to say about the fight. I guess the thing that stands out to me the most is that I felt Canelo just was the smaller guy. His punches did not have the effect that he thought they would have. And share your thoughts about that, Harold.
Well, when you move up to another weight class, you still need to be able to apply what you do well. You may lose, but what you do, your skill set should still translate. Right. Maybe it doesn't rock that guy. Maybe it doesn't cause you to win, but you still need to be able to apply what you do well.
Right.
He was unable to apply anything that he does well. Nothing. One thing to take your skill set up and lose. Another thing to take your skill set up and not be able to apply it and lose. And that's what happened. He didn't do anything to me.
Right.
He hit the man on the arms a lot. He tried to go to the body. He was slick about not getting hit. He got hit some, quite a bit in a sense, but he rolled with a lot of those punches. But he wasn't offensive the way we see him act.
Right.
He just was totally thrown off of his style. His style, it just wasn't there. He didn't land any of the punches.
Why do you think that was? What do you think? What do you think the main modality, the main skill set that Bivol deployed in the fight? What was it that you saw? Let's talk about that.
okay, that Russian style is in and out, feet first, foot first, in and out, in and out, in and out. That hook comes not as a arc. The hook from that type of style, that Russian style, is an off knuckle. It comes off the knuckle. It reaches out. And the fist is pronated differently. It's not a power hook. So that hook comes from the outside, and it's a long hook. Okay, so that's something Canelo hasn't really seen, because that is a European type thing. Then he's constantly throwing that jab, and he's stepping in, stepping out, stepping in, stepping out, stepping in, stepping out. So that's a style. That's a European Russian style that he's not familiar with. So when you couple that with the fact that he's a bigger man, he's going to be throwing that jab, okay? His footwork is such that he's going to be in and out, in and out, in and out on a constant basis, and he's fighting off the front of his toes, where he's going to be throwing the combinations, whether they're getting there or not.
Right.
He's going to be throwing those. So Canelo saw combinations coming toward him.
Right.
He didn't see anyone go back to the ropes as he would like to see, and then this left hook was coming around the guard that he's not used to seeing. So all of that was just in his face. Then he was a bigger man.
Well, what I was going to say, Harold, is that let's just stop right there, because I don't disagree with you, but I definitely think there's something more here. Number one, Bivol, if you go back and watch the footage, and those of you that tuned in that did see the footage, from DAZN on May, I guess it was May 8th, right? Was that when the fight was, May 8th?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back and look, you'll see that if you look at the detail of Bivol's back foot, Bivol had his back foot, he was up on the toe of the back foot. And when a fighter does that, what's happening, for those of you that maybe don't know the intricacies, he's basically creating more room. In round 12, he was a little more flat-footed. He was inside. But early on, he was creating so much space for Canelo to have to cross that line, to have to jump in. And every time he crossed the line and jumped in to try to throw his shots, Bivol would just kind of pull back onto the back leg, set his feet properly with the proper distance, and then he would throw his combinations long. And what that did is it forced Canelo to have to go wider with his punches, because he's throwing them from further away, knowing that he couldn't launch those shots for too close up, because Bivol was the bigger man. He was the stronger man. And it really made for a very, very tricky fight. I think that, number one, was the main reason why Canelo appeared the way he appeared. While there are other things, I think the wide punching really allowed Bivol to use that European style and also come straight to the target, accurate, and control the distance for the majority of the fight. I think those are the main things. He was able to back up Canelo by landing very, very good shots. So that was that. And then I think on the Canelo side, there's been a lot of talk. I'm going to break down 3 basic points, Harold, for you. One is, please, what is your feeling about Canelo's stamina in the fight? Did you feel his stamina was poor? Did you feel he had the traditional? He seemed to me to have less stamina, and he wasn't throwing combinations like he normally throws. I think that was I'm not sure that was a direct correlation with stamina. I think that had to do with the fact that when he threw, he had to throw with so much force to keep Bivol neutralized.
I don't think he was in shape. I just think that the style forced him to, go outside of what he usually does, as you just said.
Yeah.
I believe he was in shape. He wasn't tired. He wasn't winded. He wasn't hurt or none of that.
Right.
He just couldn't figure out how to apply what he needs to apply to his opponent. Now, like you said, He was forced to do something outside of what he needed to do. He was, that wide Mexican type boxing that the Mexicans are known for, whereas he is usually goes straight down the middle. That's what he does.
Right.
He didn't do that. He had to go on the outside just because that's the only way he could land anything. But as you said, Bivol was coming straight down the pike, so that just forced him on the outside. Good point.
Yeah. And when you have a bigger frame coming at you, pushing you back, throwing straight punches down the line, forcing you to hold your hands high guard, and when you throw, you have to throw big. You have to land big shots. It slows your output, and I think that played a lot into the fight. If you go back, even in round 12, he's popping the foot up a little bit as well. But I just think it was just a reach. I want to look. I want to see what the reach advantage was for Bivol.
I have to go back to Tyson on this.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson had the shortest reach. He out-jabbed everyone he fought.
Right.
Because of timing. He knew how to get the timing in. Wasn't the reach.
As you know, he has
Canelo didn't get a chance to really jab. He didn't have any timing.
Well, and Bivol had 2.5 inches on reach alone, plus he had 3 inches on height, 2.5 inches in height. So you got the advantages there. They both were the same age, but I think this is really just an example of a smaller guy coming up and a bigger guy waiting for you. That is a hard, and I know that Canelo's been successful thus far in all this journey, but maybe the 175 is just, that's the stop. That's the stop. That's where he needs to really reevaluate and think about it. The last thing I was going to say is the work rate. But again, the work rate, I marked that off as something I wanted to chat about, but the work rate was in direct proportion and direct connection with the fact that Bivol was getting to the target first. And the only way he could get there and keep himself safe was throw these wider shots, hoping to land, hoping to score those shots on Bivol walking in. But it wasn't happening because Bivol was up on the back foot the entire fight. So.
Agreed. But the style was wrong. Now I think he can go to 175 and beat some of those other guys.
Yeah.
With the proper style matching up with his, but his style was not good for him at all. Right. So he can still win at 175, I believe, and knock these guys out. But that particular style was just not going to work with him. And if it's a rematch, he shouldn't do it because he's not going to he's not going to achieve anything greater.
Right.
And Bivol is definitely going to be going for the knockout then because he knows he can't be hurt. Right. He knows the style situation will never be solved by Canelo. Yeah. And it's not a good idea to do that.
Well, the other thing is I think something to really contemplate. Canelo Alvarez has 57 fights, 2 losses and 2 draws with 39 wins coming by way of KO. Those are in lower weight classes. He's 31 years old, but he's been fighting since he was, I think he turned professional.
15.
Yeah, something like that. Let's see what year he turned pro. He turned pro at 139 pounds against a guy by the name of Abraham Gonzalez, who at the time was, a pro debuter. And he fought in Laros Tonala in Mexico. And yeah, man. And let's look at the bout because that particular bout, man, I think, yeah, he was 15 freaking years old. He's 31. He's 30 people. He's 31. It was 15, Harold. That is a long career. So nobody's really talking about Canelo, getting older because he comes across as being very young. He presents himself as being very young. But this is a guy who's been fighting, mostly pro. He didn't really have that big of an amateur career. Mostly pro. And, he's 31 years old. He's got 57 fights. So is this the beginning of the end? Is this, Harold, the beginning of the end?
I can't agree with that at all because he didn't take any punishment. When he lost to Floyd, he just got a boxing lesson. No one's really hit him. No one's hurt him. No one's moved him. Nothing. Right. Nothing. Now, when he moved up, Kovalev hit him a couple of times. He had a fight with Triple G a couple of times. He had some tough fights, maybe 4 or 5, but that's it.
Yeah.
He hasn't taken anything. He hasn't been hit. He hasn't taken anything. He hasn't. So this is an anomaly for him to get hit like this. It's an anomaly when Triple G puts hands on him. That's an anomaly. He was barely winning the fight against Kovalev, and he was taking some punches. So he hasn't. Plant didn't hit him. No one hit him. No one has hit him. So no, I don't think it's in of it at all. I think he's got plenty more to go. He said he wanted to fight another 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
And just to throw a little carrot out there, Floyd said it was his easiest fight. Bivol said it was his easiest fight, and that was because of the fundamentals: jab, right hand down the middle. And
look what Bivol used.
Open to that.
Bivol used that. He used that blueprint for sure. He used that blueprint as the day is long. And the other thing is they're talking about having a rematch at 168. Bivol has gone on the record as saying, the guy hasn't exercised his rematch clause. What do you think that means?
It won't happen. The style, the weight, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He was not able, as I said earlier, to apply his style to Bivol. He wasn't able to do it, whether it was 175, 195, 165, 147. That style is not going to allow him to land on Bivol. It's just not going to happen. So, yes, it's good to talk about it and speculate, but for those who know boxing, James Payne and other people who are here, they know that he's not going to win that fight if they run it back. It's going to be the same thing.
Right. Yeah. No, you're our listener here, James Payne, says, I can't wait to hear both of you guys break down the Charlo versus Castano 2. Congratulations to our 7th undisputed. Okay, so we know, James, we know that you are a Charlo fan. Got it. So, yeah, we're going to chop that up in just about a couple seconds here. I just also wanted to comment here that what do you think about this Oscar De La Hoya trying to pull Canelo back, saying, come back to the best promoter? Come on, come back to your best promoter, Golden Boy. What do you think about that?
You know when a girl dumps you, right?
Oh, not
or
the
you
girl.
Dump her. No, say you dump her. You dump her. You
okay.
Dump her. Okay. Right. And you turn her off.
Yeah.
You don't talk to her for like 2 weeks, 2 months, or whatever.
Right.
And then she comes back, right? And you say, if you come back, you got to come back under my rules. If she comes back, she's going to come back under your rules. Canelo is not going back to Oscar under Oscar's rules. So It's nice to say that, but he's not going back under Oscar's rules. It won't happen. So
you heard that here.
To say that. It's nice to say that. It looks like it's going to work. It could work or whatever, but he won't go back to that. He doesn't have to. He doesn't need to.
Right. Well, I mean, and I think you got something there, Harold. You got something there about Canelo because, I mean, you listen to a lot of the folks talking on, in the gym, next to the water fountain, and they're talking about the fights, and, Bivol just seemed to have the key. He cracked the code. He has the key. And even, guys like Andre Roser goes on, he basically goes on record stating that Canelo's not going to do any better against Bivol at 168 pounds. So that's, what it is, I mean, I don't know what Canelo thinks. He hasn't really gone on the record saying what he's going to do. So it'll be interesting to see how they develop, how Canelo develops, what comes next for him.
Mark, you just lost a fight. You're pound for pound king. You just lost a fight.
Yeah.
The world knows you lost a fight. You look crazy because you lost a fight. You just didn't do well. So the only thing you can say is, I want a rematch. Yes, you got to save face. But when you sit around later and you look at the fight and you talk to your people, it's not feasible. But at that time, it's the best thing to say.
Right.
That's the only way I can see it. It wasn't thought out. It was an emotional thing he said.
Right.
He got the clause in there and they probably made a lot of it, run up to the fight. But as you know, people have, rematch clauses, and half the time they don't take them.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's nothing, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Nothing gained.
Right?
Yes.
So he certainly took it. He took the challenge. He went up to 175. He locked horns with Dimitri Bivol, who's a real, he's real, and came up a little short. He did the 12 rounds.
I give you props, man. You said Bivol is the real deal. You said that. The rest of us did not grasp that. We didn't understand because you're a trainer. You know pedigree better than what I know and some other people that we know. And you saw it and you stated it and it bared out clearly.
Yeah, man. Yo, Bivol is. Thank you, Harold. Thank you for that acknowledgement. And we looked at that fight on one of the recent, I think it was the last boxing breakdown. We actually broke that down before the fight. It was like two or 3 days before the fight. Go listen to it and you'll hear for yourself. But the breakdown of that fight was really, I was looking at it like going, I don't know, man, he's a bigger dude. And the odds on that fight were incredible. They were incredible.
I was drinking the Kool-Aid. The
Canelo aid. Yeah, but and we love Canelo. Look, I love Canelo. I'm not down on Canelo. I just think that boxing, matchmaking in boxing and putting matches together is a science. There's folks out there that's all they do is they match fights. And you have to know boxing. You have to understand what works. And there are formulas in this sport that just work. You can almost predict the outcome based on the formula. When you spend enough time doing it, there is a formula. Now the formula sometimes gets messed up for sure. And that's why boxing is so exciting because you never know what you're going to get. But there is a formula, and with all intent and purposes, our friend Paul Haberman would like that. For all intent and purposes, that's like a legalese, right? Yeah, Paul would love that. But yeah, for all intent and purposes, man, it's just a formula that you can put together. You kind of know what's going to happen, and certainly Dimitri Bivol, man, pulled it off. The game plan, they haven't really touted his game plan. They haven't touted the tactics that he used. But the tactics that Bivol used in the fight, the tactics, okay, were masterful. And the people on his team that put that together, that said, let's do this, those guys should be applauded as well because the team did a great job. It wasn't just Bivol. It was the plan, execution of the plan. And yes, Bivol did the execution of the plan. At the end of the day, it always falls on the fighter. Well, yes, no, when the fighter wins, it's always the fighter's fault. When the fighter loses, it's always the trainer's fault. Just so you know, and everybody listening in on the boxing breakdown, hit the like and subscribe and hit the thumbs up, right? If you agree with that. Well, hit the thumbs up anyway. But I know if you are a trainer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you are not a trainer, Yeah, man. When the fighter wins, man, everybody loves the fighter. When the fighter loses, first thing they do is go, "Oh, it was the trainer's fault." Nah.
But I got to throw out there, Mark. I got to throw out there.
Throw it out.
There was a blueprint. Floyd did it. Floyd did it first. Floyd did it first. He did it first. He came down the pike, straight down the pike. Yep. He was the one who had the movement. He was the one that was back and forth. There was a blueprint. Now,
right.
Of course, they took that blueprint, they applied it to a style, but the basic premise of that blueprint was the 1-2-1-2. Hence, Floyd saying that was my easiest fight. Hence,
right.
Bivol saying that was my easiest fight. Because it was a basic fundamental that they both had, that they applied to Canelo, who never had an answer for that basic fundamental. Some people are saying that that's why he doesn't fight African-American fighters.
Right.
Because what? They have that straight, that style, that jab, right hand.
Yep.
They're going to move and all that. They're saying that's why he has stayed away from them. However, he did beat Shane Mosley, didn't he?
Well,
and
barely.
Shane Mosley definitely has that.
Shane Mosley was...
He was there and he beat Shane Mosley. And Shane Mosley said, yes, he beat me. So that's not really a good argument, but it shows up in this fight. And then if you go back and run Floyd's fight right behind it, you see the similarities, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So going forward, when Canelo fights anyone else, they've got two pieces of work that they can pull from to work Canelo.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it. And a good trainer is going to see that. He's going to take pieces from both. If he has a fighter who is understanding the process, who's in good shape, who knows how to listen to the trainer and train properly, he will be able to apply this to Canelo because now the book is open. Floyd opened the book, but it got closed because it was so long ago.
Right.
That book is wide open now.
Yeah, man.
Canelo is going to have to fight coming up here.
Yeah.
And our boy Bivol is not the one he needs to go to.
Yeah. So what do you think he goes, Harold? Before we end this conversation, where do you think he goes?
Triple G is somewhat long in the tooth, if you will. Of course, he's got the metal and all that, but the physical body may not be able to sustain that. Now, I just look at this. I love to look back at the old school. You got Frazier and Ali. They were both deteriorated. And they had this wonderful fight because they were both deteriorated.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Mickey Ward to Turagati, same thing.
Yes. Now, Triple G is not deteriorating, but he's not what he was.
No.
Our boy is coming off a pretty bad loss. So he's going to be trying to adjust his style, and it may cost him to have kind of a slip off too, because now he has to understand that his style has been kind of conquered somewhat. Right. So he's going to be different. So I'm looking for a great fight there, but I'm not looking at the skill set being what it was. And Canelo's got to prove that I can stand in there. And Triple G says, I've got to stand there also. So we're looking for a good fight. I think he goes there because that's the safest way to go. I don't think he's going to mess around too much right now. He's going to get this next fight. He's going to take a little time and see how everything hashes out at 68. Now he can run through those guys at 68. He's already intimidated those guys. They're not going to be able to beat him.
Right.
He's not going to go to 47. He's not going to 54. If you come up to fight him at 68, you got to come up from 60 to 68. Ooh. So you're going to be at disadvantage. He'll be safe at 168 as long as he wants to be safe. He can go to 175 and the Don King fighter, the WBA guy, he can take that. He can take that one. He can rectify himself with that one.
Right.
But he's going to safely sit there at 68, be safe, get his mojo back right there.
Wow. Yeah, man. I don't know. So super welterweight looks like a spot he might want to hang out in for sure. You know? Well, anyway, that being said, it is time for us. Well, it's not time to go to sleep. That was the sound of crickets, as if we were going to go to sleep. False start. We're not going to sleep. What we are going to do is we are going to break down the Jermell Charlo versus Brian Castano, or Castano. That's how you say his name. I'm sorry about that. All right. Don't get me, Castano. Okay, I got it. It took me 2 times, but I got your name right. Yeah, man. So let's get back to James Payne, Lethal, and his comments. Right? Let's see if we can see these comments here. What is going on? What's going on? What's going on? All right. Anyway, James Payne says, I cannot wait to hear both of you break down the Charlo versus Castano 2. Congratulations to our 7th undisputed. What you got, Harold?
Well, he's the 7th undisputed of the 4-belt era, which is a beautiful thing. You always talk about sanctioning fees are crazy, but they are going to pay him. They paid him, so they got it. I have to say that my metal was shaking because I thought Charlo was in a situation where he could get worn down. The first 3 or 4 rounds, I was like, oh no, this guy is saying, I don't care. You can't really hurt me. I'm going to continue to come forward. And it looked like Charlo was looking for some answers the first 3 or 4 rounds.
Agreed.
I mean, he was going through all his progression. He was moving. He was staying off the ropes. He was counterpunching. He did what he's supposed to do. But he looked like, to me, he was searching for a situation to prevail in each round.
Right.
Now, they said he won each round up to, whatever. He won most of the rounds. But I saw a kind of a urgency where, hey, this guy's really still coming. He's still really coming. He's not backing off any. And I'm hitting him with some good shots. Right. And then, he was able to hit him a little bit. So, actually, I'm usually like, okay, I know what's going to happen. I just sit there and chill because I understand the skill set. But this time, I had a little palpitations because I was like, hey, this guy's not really backing down.
Right. And
that changed, but initially, that's what I saw.
Harold, I remember we talked about this on a recent broadcast as well. And I was very excited for this fight. I loved the first fight. I thought it was very competitive, and I really had great admiration, and do still, for Brian Castano. To be able to lock horns with such a great fighter like Jermell Charlo, who really is, he's a tough fighter. He's a tough fighter. He's a great fighter. I'm not quite sure what's going on with all the aggressive, post-fight interviews and there's a lot of aggression. I guess Charlo felt that some of the media was really coming down on him in preparation for the fight. And, he had some words with some of the broadcasters. I think a guy from ESPN, I believe. Yeah. And, it was just, he said, quote, y'all have to respect me now. You have no choice, but you will now have to respect me. And the fight was not an easy fight. If you look at it from a trajectory, if you look at it from the perspective of a trainer, you can see a lot of mistakes being made by Charlo. There are a lot of mistakes in here. I know mistakes will show up when you fight at this level. He was fighting a really, really game opponent, and it shows that Charlo, is willing to grind. He's willing to fight. He's willing to really dig down deep and come up with the answers in the ring. And it's very impressive. It was very impressive fight. It was an impressive knockdown. The way that he caught Brian Castano was with a straight right hand I believe it was to the temple, right through the gloves.
It was a left hook. He started the sequence with an uppercut. You're talking about the knockout.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. He started the sequence with an uppercut.
Okay.
Then it was a right hand to the body. And then it was a left hook with the proper arc. Right. Because Castano was in range. So the torque on that left hook was clear.
Right.
Was clean. Now, to me, the entire knockout was just a progression of what he does in the gym.
Yeah.
It didn't come from here, and he calculated, he threw it. He just went through his normal progression. When I'm coming up the ropes, I'm going to throw that uppercut. Then I'm going to follow with the right hand to the body, and I come back with that left hook. That's all it was. It was just a normal progression.
Yeah.
But because of that progression and the momentum that was garnered because of that progression, Castano just happened to be right in range of the power.
Yeah.
So he garnered power with the uppercut. He picked up some more momentum when he hit him to the body with the right hand.
Right.
The natural progression of a boxer is a turn, and that power comes to the left hand, to the left hook. Mark, of course, you know this. And he just walked into it. It was nothing he planned.
Yeah.
It wasn't, now I'm going to hit him with this. No, it was just the usual fighting. He's going to fight, keep his back off the ropes, and just walk through his normal progressions. The same sequence he fights with all the time. So when I saw that, I was like, that is a good fighter, because you're just going through what you're not changing anything. You're not adding anything. You're not experimenting. You're going with what you know how to fight in that situation. And that was why he was able to knock him out. Now, another thing that I was impressed with Charlo was he actually had a little better defense. Yes, he still got hit. Yes, he did. But compared to the first fight, he covered up a little better. Of course, he stayed off the ropes, right? Mm-hmm. And this man who was coming toward him said, well, I guess you're going to have to kill me. So when you have that going for you, the man can run into something that just totally turns him off. Oh, yeah. Now, the way he fell, obviously, that was a huge concussion. He just fell straight down. That wasn't a progression of getting hit and just rocking. It was just a sudden
clean shot.
Crash.
Yeah. Yep. No, I mean, Charlo did a great job for where Charlo was really exceptional at was keeping Castano outside, keeping him outside, forcing him to work at a range where he can't land his shots. And he did that with the jab, the 1-2. He was just throwing the 1-2 right down the pike. And again, keeping Castano out. Those moments where he was resting, he was bouncing on the outside perimeter of the ring and he was resting Charlo, is where Castano was able to get his shots off. So that was just a matter of like, man, I can't keep throwing these punches the entire round and keep this up. So those were the moments where Castano was able to cross the mark, get into the spot, land his shots, and rough Charlo up a little bit, But yeah, I mean, it was really, really very, very impressive performance. And look, man, the guy comes away with 4 belts, Harold. Yes,
but I got to give Trent some props too. The first fight, Charlo wasn't going to the body. That was not right. In it. He didn't really go to the body. He didn't look for the body. The body was sitting right there in the first fight, but he never went there.
Right.
Okay. Because he had the long layoff and the stoppage and the arm situation and all that, he really got a chance to get the body work into his mind naturally.
Yeah.
He didn't have to think about, okay, I got to go to the body, because even on the knockout, after the guy got up and he took him out, he turned him off.
Yeah.
He went to the body. Right. Now, when you usually have someone knocked out and your thing is to go to the head, that's all you're going to do. You're not going to remember to go to the body. But I think they work so much on applying body work that it was a natural progression for him to go to the body. So I've got to give his trainer the props, and him also, for incorporating this skill set that he didn't have before. And it's only going to serve him well as he defends his belts, because if he's going to go to the body, he doesn't have to go to the head and the jab and all that all the time, because sometimes he can go to that body. He's got a good punch and he knows how to place it.
Yeah.
So I was glad to see him progress in that way.
Well, Harold, another thing is, Charlo does, when he's rocking, when he's bouncing on the outside of the ring, he bounces around with that lead hand a little low. Castano was trying to find that right hand over top off that low, the drifting jab hand. And, he was somewhat successful here and there throughout the fight. I think the other adjustment that you didn't mention, Harold, that I don't know if you picked up on it, I certainly did. Charlo in Charlo Castano 1, Charlo was really like one step away from the ropes most of the fight. He was just up against the ropes too much. In this fight, he didn't lose his ability to circle and turn Castano. But what he did was he made sure he was at least 2 or 3 steps away from the ring, the ring ropes and the corner post.
Yes.
When he got put into those tight spots, he immediately tied up. He immediately tied up for the majority of it and got himself back into the center of the ring. When he felt like he was up against the post, he understood that Castano was very, very successful in the last fight on the ring post, in the corners. And for the most part, he tied up. He lost his composure, I think maybe like round 4. And I think that's what you were talking about before, where he went back to what he did in the first fight. But for the most part, he understood that he could not be on the ropes. And I'm sure there was discussion in the corner and reminders in the corner about the fact that you cannot be on the ropes. You have to be 2 steps away from the ropes the entire fight. It was a bigger ring. I mean, it wasn't really that small. I guess, I wasn't there, so I don't see it, in firsthand. There were some people that said it was a smaller ring. From my viewpoint, it looks like it's probably like a 24-foot ring. So that would lend itself to Charlo more than Castano. And it looked like it was a fast ring. We've talked about this a lot, fast versus slow. Slow ring really would have benefited Castano, but the floor surface was fast. So that's definitely going to be in Charlo's favor. He can move, he can jump in and out, he can change the distances pretty regularly, he can pot shot, shoot shots, and move at the same time relatively quickly. Versus, fighting on a soft ring where Castano's just, setting in on his punches and landing big shots. So
grabbing the canvas with his toes, and throwing that power. Well, I got to go back to the trainer because the trainer incorporated those things you just spoke of.
Yeah,
you keep your back off the ropes. Clenching when you're supposed to.
Right.
Spin him. He spun him a lot. And after he took some punches, he came right back with his own punches and went back to the center of the ring. So the discipline, the mental discipline that he showed was really, I was more impressed with that.
Right.
Than I was, because I knew what the kind of style he had. The thing that impressed me was the defense was shored up some.
Right.
And he was disciplined to stay off the ropes. And like I said before, the body work was incorporated in his style. Yeah. Well, now as far as his post fight and all that, he's always been kind of this anomaly in that he got rid of his. He was with his trainer. His trainer was who his brother still with. That was a little nasty thing there. When he left him and all that. Yeah. That always is. When he built his gym, he was the first one to build. He built a gym, right? And they said, "Well, how can you can't build a gym? You financially you may not need to have a gym, right? You can't sustain the gym. Why are you building a gym?" But he built the gym first. Right. Then he left his trainer and went to Derek James. Yeah. Okay. He and his brother, of course, like any siblings, they had their back and forth. So he's always had the situation where he's this aggressive type guy. Yeah. Okay. So he's playing that. Now, I don't know if that's in his system, that's who he is, or that's how he plays it. But I love it. I love the fact that he's going at these promoters. I love that he's saying, you got to respect me. I like the arrogance. I like all of that. Yeah. Only because the brand name of Charlo has to stay a forefront. Okay. Right. If he loses, or if his brother loses, the brand is tarnished. He has to keep that up. Now the pressure is on the brother. Right. The pressure's on the brother who has one belt at 160.
Jermell. Yes. You're speaking of Jermell Charlo.
So right now, I love everything he's done. the way he said it, how he's handled it, the arrogance, the actual fight itself, all of it is great. Well done.
Right.
Media wise, optically wise, fight wise, attitude wise, and the way he handled the press conference was great. He made that reporter kowtow. When he came back with his answers, his questions, he was checked. And that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
So I give him the props for that. Our boy, he did well all across the board. Yeah. He wasn't taking advantage of in no situation in my eyes.
Right. No, man. I mean, I just, round 4 was, as you said, really, really a nervous round, especially the last 2 or 3 seconds of that round where, they both hit each other with equal right hand hooks. They traded hooks, and they both looked like they were just about ready to go down. Well, Harold.
Now he's got to change his hairstyle.
Yeah. I agree.
Only because now he's undisputed. You have to kind of change your optics.
Yeah,
and I'm looking forward to see his optics change. He's got consultants. He's got image professionals. He's got all that now.
Oh, yeah.
He's an undisputed champion. He's starting to be approached for endorsements.
Yeah.
And this and that. Believe me, his agent, the phone's been ringing.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got to find where he's going to go. Now, he's got the aggression, so it's going to be certain endorsements that are going to play off that.
Right.
So I'm looking to see him on some major commercials. I'm looking to see some major things from him because of this situation. So I see nothing but upside.
Yeah. No. I get that. I agree. I think Jermell Charlo is 35, 1-1, 19 big wins coming by way of KO. He's got roughly 51.5% KO ratio. Yeah, man, he's unified champion, and we are really, really happy for him, for sure, and wish him all the best in his journey up the ranks, wherever he's going, what do you think's next for him?
Well, he's got the 154 everything. So off the top of your head, you're looking at Fundora, and we're looking at Costa Zoo, the son Costa Zoo. It was Tim Zoo.
Right.
Now, Tim's not ready. Tim can't fight him. Tim just got knocked down. Tim will be knocked out.
Right.
Fundora is going to be a little tougher task. He'll win on points, but it'll be a tougher task just because of the awkwardness of that tall man. But that tall man has an issue because he fights inside. Right. And you can't fight Charlo inside, especially if he sticks to the body work. He's got a lot of body right there at eye level. So when he fights Fundora, all that body's going to be right there. He's not going to be going to the head or whatever. He's going to be going to that body.
Right.
And Fundora's going to accommodate him by trying to fight on the inside. So he is going to have his way with Fundora strictly because of his style. Now, Fundora is young. He's going to fight hard, but I see him winning that. Zoo, he'll lose. Yeah. So other than those two, I haven't yet to look at who is left out there for him. Now, he's got his mandatories, and he'll walk through his mandatories. I don't know who they are, but he'll be able to walk through those. He had a great push. This was a good push for him. Yeah. So he's not going to be threatened like this any further, really.
Right.
Like, Castano threatened him.
Who do you think he's going to pick? I mean, for his,
Well, the mandatories are mandatory, so he's going to have to handle those. He's not going to really pick because he's going to do the mandatories. So whatever that is. As far as between those two guys, if he wants to up the whole situation, bring Zoo over,
I think
the
it's
Australian thing over, the cachet of his father and all that, and then knock him out, that's fine.
Right.
that would be the one that's financially cool, and he'll look good, and he'll knock him out, and this, that, and the other. As far as a tougher fight, it's going to be Fondora, which he'll win,
right?
But he'll have to fight again. So the easier touch will be Costa Tszú's son. That would be the easier touch,
right? Yeah, I mean that would be the easier fight. Tim Tszú.
And they have a brother. He has a brother who is a monster.
Oh, really?
They have there's a second son who fought the other week. Right. And he is the one that is supposedly has a better skill set and is more vicious than Tim.
Wow.
So we'll look for him in the next 5 years or so, but he is a son of the Tszú pedigree.
He's part of the zoo. He's part of the zoo crew. How about that? The zoo crew, right?
Good.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So Harold, man, listen, it's been a pleasure. We've had an absolutely delightful discussion on everything boxing. And again, if you are listening in, we thank you for being with us on the Boxing Breakdown. We hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button if you're with the Apple Podcast. Share it with your boxing friends and foes and have them all tuning in. Be part of the conversation. We really are delighted to have you with us. And James, thanks for being with us, man. Thanks for your comments on the broadcast tonight. And without further ado, man, peace, love, stay safe, and until next time, see you on the next edition of the Boxing Breakdown.
Fight fans, join host Mark Roxey and special guests as they break down all aspects of the boxing world, including news, business, management, training, promotions, fan reactions, upcoming events, matchups, future boxing stars, title fights, state of the boxing world, and all the stuff you don't see when you watch boxing. This podcast is released each week on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live streamed on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook Live. It's the Boxing Breakdown, hosted by Mark Roxey.